At insuremyride.com.au, we know what it's like on the bike. So our bike insurance is only for bike riders. Whatever you ride, road, off-road, and even scooter. Don't get ripped off. Insure your ride online and save 25%.
G'day, I'm Guy Allen. Welcome to Motorcycle TV. This lovely gadget here, KTM's Superduke 1290R. Now this is ostensibly a big naked bike with some sporting bike heritage behind it. It's actually a 4th generation Superduke if you look at KTM history. However, to say that it's a stripped down sports bike would be doing this machine a hell of a disservice. As one of my colleagues commented to me, it feels like it was designed from the ground up as a big fun naked bike, and that's exactly what it is. And it's actually hard to think of much else out there in the motorcycle car park or in the showrooms that quite matches what this machine does. Now the basis of it is a 75-degree V-twin, 1290cc capacity or near enough, claiming a very healthy 179, 180 horsepower. So we're talking serious power out of this thing. Now despite that power claim, it redlines at 10,000 RPM, but despite the power claim, it's got a perfectly healthy low and mid-range. In fact, the mid-range is quite exceptional. It'll get the front wheel light in a surprising number of gears if you give it half a chance. It's also quite happy just to bumble along, 3,000 RPM, thereabouts, at 100 kilometres per hour, so it's hardly overstressed on the highway. Underpinning all of this is this lattice frame, of course. You've got WP racing suspension at both ends, lots of adjustment, very high quality suspension. It really does the job very well. It's got a bit of road comfort to it. It's not outrageous, but you can certainly feel what's going on underneath you. So it's got that sporting lean, but set up for the road. Premium brakes. Radial mounted Brembos up front, plenty of power, they're a known package. The styling may not be to everybody's tastes. It's pretty full on and very angular, particularly when you see the thing coming towards you, but really that just comes down to personal preference. I've actually softened towards it as I've ridden the bike more and more, and I think really what the bike does completely overtakes how it looks. There's a lot of electronic sophistication in the machine. It's got the analog tacho, of course, plus you've got two screens, two little digital screens for all the peripheral stuff on the left-hand side, which tells you what programs you're using, how far till you run out of fuel, lots of little bits and pieces like that. There's a bunch of buttons on the left-hand switch block for you to adjust things like ABS, traction controls, how you want the electronics set up. There is room for a pillion. It's not the worst pillion seat I've ever seen, but seriously, if you're looking for a long distance bike for 2 up, you'd be better off looking at something like the adventure bikes in the KTM range or elsewhere. What's it like to ride? Well, the motor's lovely. The motor really is quite something. It's got quite a lot of character to it. It's smooth. It's got plenty of power. It's not ultra smooth, but it's just got enough there. A bit of crackle, bit of bark, tiny bit of vibe just to let you know it's alive. It's actually quite endearing. The performance is quite stunning. I mean, it's hardly surprising. This is a bike that weighs about 190-ish kilos when it's wet, and it's got nearly 180 horsepower. So guess what? It goes like a cut cat. Top end acceleration is strong, mid-range is fantastic, bottom end is strong. Fortunately, the chassis is well and truly up to handling what this bike can deliver. It is quite precise. It feels relatively short. It certainly tips in quite quickly. It's quick and precise in the steering. Really like that. This bike, because of its seating position, which is a little bit lean forward, sort of a sports touring stance, is actually quite a comfortable thing on the road. You could certainly commute on it no problem at all. In fact, that's exactly what I've been doing for the last week. Take it out on a back road or a bit of track and it's an absolute hoot to ride. Really is. 18 litre fuel tank, gets mid-teens per litre without too much trouble, can get thirsty when you really give it a handful, but that's hardly surprising. It's producing big horsepower. Longish trip, mid-teens should be no problem at all. I've got a huge amount of time for this motorcycle. The only thing that pulls me back a tiny bit is it's fairly hefty in the price department, 23.5 thereabouts, plus on road, depending on who you talk to. That's a lot of money for a naked bike. But having said that, this is a truly exceptional bit of kit. And I dare say that once you'd owned it for a while, you might have forgotten exactly how much you paid for it. So if you're in the market for a high-end performance naked bike, I'd certainly look very closely at this thing. Look for the full test in Motorcycle Trader magazine.